Welcome to Boris Effects Live. Sponsored by Dell Precision Workstations. Create without limits. And by NVIDIA. And Intel.
Hello, and welcome to Boris Effects Live. My name is Ben Brownlee, and we are going to be talking trailers today. So yeah, we've got three very, very special guests joining us for our end of year trailer talk. We're going to have Yuhei Ogawa from Northern Lights, Christian Capello-Colon from Trailer Park, and Jesse Capello-Colon from Zealot, all here to talk trailer structure, nerd out about trailers in general, and just basically pick out the best trailers of 2021. And I'll be there along for the ride as well. We are live, and what that means is that it gives you a chance to talk to us as well. So if you have any questions, we're here in chat to answer them for you. I will be dropping into chat as much as I can, but there'll also be other Boris Effects people talking away there. Or you can find our chat on actually just to the right of the viewer on YouTube. Or if you're watching us on Boris Effects Live, then you will find chat right there as well. Here we go. And there is another reason to go to Boris Effects Live. And that is, of course, to scroll down to the bottom of the page and to join in on our competition, because we are giving away a ton of stuff today as well. So we are going to be giving away a piece of Boris Effects swag, which we'll talk about in a little bit. We'll also be, oh, there we go, beautiful pictures. So t-shirts, mugs, loads and loads of swag, your choice. So we'll be giving away a bit of that. We'll be giving away a Wacom Intuos Pro as well. Look at that, absolutely gorgeous, from our friends at Wacom. And we'll also be giving away a edition of the Boris Effects Suite, an annual subscription, and that is everything that we make, including Sapphire, Continuum, Mocha Pro, Silhouette, and Optics. So that's all going to go to a lucky winner. And I want to say thank you to our sponsors before we get in there, NVIDIA, Dell, and Intel. So thank you very much for helping us with our live streams. Dell Precision Workstations, the #1 workstation brand in the world. So thank you very much to Dell for helping us to put these live streams on. So, I mean, I think actually probably the best thing that we can do is to get on with it, because what's more fun than watching me babble on for a little bit? Well, actually talking about trailers, which is why we're here. So we recorded these a little bit earlier. So we are going to be talking to our guests through the passage of time. But I'll be back, to take your questions and talk to you throughout as well. So don't go anywhere. And I think if we're ready, let's head on over to start talking trailers with our three guests. Okay, so let's come in and get ready. We're going to introduce our guests here. We've got three guests, and I'm going to start with Yuhei Ogawa. Hello, Yuhei.
Hey, what's going on, Ben?
Hey, how you doing? Good to see you again.
Thank you. Thank you for having me back.
No problem. Yeah, Yuhei is creative director and editor with Northern Lights. And he's also been the star of our previous trailer live stream as well. So it's my pleasure to have you back. It's been too long. We've been planning this one for about a year, I think now. So
yeah, no,
that's good.
Biting our nails.
It's been tough. It's been tough. Also joining me as well is Christian Capello-Colon. Christian is senior editor at Trailer Park. Hello, Christian. Welcome.
What's up, Ben?
Hey, how's it going? Good to have you on Boris Effects Live one more time. Christian was also a part of the trailer extravaganza we did last time.
Yeah, such great a response that I got from people all around, just saying, how informative it was, and I had such a blast. So I'm happy to be back.
It's great to have you back. It really is. It's been, like I said, it's been, we've been trying to get this sorted out for a long time now. So now's the time. But obviously you've got other reasons for having a bit being a bit busy right at this moment.
Oh yeah, just a little bit. Just having another baby and in the midst of all this weirdness is it's fun. It's just good fun.
It fills up the days. I think that's what we're all doing. We're all just trying to fill up days.
Oh, for sure.
There we go. So if you're called away at any point, we know why you're missing for the second half of the live stream.
Yeah, let's hope I can stick through it, but stuff happens.
My fingers are crossed. My fingers are crossed. At least for the first 3 hours, anyway. All right. And my third and final guest is Jesse Capello-Colon. Jesse is an editor with Zealot. Hello, Jesse.
Hey, everybody. Really excited to be here. First time I'm doing something like this, so it's a great honor, and I'm excited to talk some trailers.
Yeah, that's it. It's not just the first time you've been on Boris FX Live. It's the first time you've done this sort of live stream. So I think you've got a really good group of people to help kind of be supportive and bring us through. And there's a lot of interesting stuff that we're going to do. Alrighty.
Yeah, no, it's really cool.
So I mean, the whole idea today is to talk trailers. So I've set you all a little task of coming back to me with your best trailers of 2021. And I'm going to say some of the choices were a little bit surprising for me. Not in a bad way, but in a very, very interesting way, something that I hadn't thought of. I mean, what was the process of going through? How's 2021 been without giving away what you've chosen? How easy was it to find the trailers? We'll start with Yuhei.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. It's never easy, just because the sheer amount of great work that just comes out every year. I mean, honestly, you guys are gonna play it back, but my first choice was just something that immediately came to my mind when you guys asked me to pick out, my top 2 trailers. There's something that came up pretty recently, and it just immediately came to my mind, and I really had to wanted to have the opportunity to get down and talk about some of the techniques that just ordinaries may not be appreciated as much, and even for some editors, certain things may feel kind of deceivingly effortless, yet it's very hard to do. So I really want to kind of dig deep and talk about that. The second one is a bit of a curveball. I just thought it'll be interesting to kind of talk about it. So you'll see.
Yeah, I agree. Christian, you've also come with 2 very different trailers as well, and again, without giving away what you've chosen. What was the process for you there to sort of sift through?
This was not an easy task. I mean, I think the question that arises typically with a lot of trailer editors is, what are your favorite trailers of all time? And that's a hard list to compile, but to do one annually is an even greater task because, like Yuhei said, I agree, there's just a sheer volume of trailers now. I mean, every streamer has content that needs a trailer. Every film studio is still cranking out films. And, I have... every time I come across a new and interesting trailer or a piece of content that's been edited, any type of media really, I flag it. I ask my assistance team at Trailer Park, which are incredible young talents themselves, to pull down those trailers, and I create my own little, favorite trailers cache so that I can go into and I can review. So for the process for going into this talk today, I mean, I was looking at 15 different trailers that I had pulled down since January of this year, and even some stuff from the previous year that I thought would apply here. I picked 2 pieces that are, they're uniquely different. One is significantly shorter than the other, but they're pieces that I had an immediate emotional reaction to, which was wow, like I'm seeing something new being executed. I'm seeing some really great sort of, crafting happening, and just really thorough storytelling. So that's how I came up with my picks.
Excellent. Excellent. We're going to come to those in a little bit. But Jesse, you actually stole one of my trailers without actually knowing it. We picked the same trailer, so I had to change mine. Change mine up. I mean, what is it that you look for when you're looking at a well crafted trailer?
Well, I mean, what Yuhei and Christian said, I think as editors, we gravitate towards cuts that I think are just well crafted. We understand what went into it, and it's just we're looking at the editing. But what I tried to pick were pieces that made me want to really go see the movie, which I think sometimes as editors we lose that big picture in terms of, am I excited to pay $20, whatever it is, or rent it to want to go see this movie? And the two trailers that I picked both compelled me for different reasons to go see the movies. They're both great trailers. They can exist on their own individually without even going seeing the movie, and you can look at it as a great piece of art. But I guess in the bigger scheme of things, they did also make me want to go see those films. And one of them I did see in theaters, which has been something, we didn't have really opportunity to go see movies in 2020. And I actually have been going to the movies again. You have to, with all the safety protocols and everything, I feel pretty good going to them. And I've been kind of on a good run, seeing a lot of great movies recently, new ones. I've even been seeing movies like re-releases in IMAX, which has been really cool. So yeah, I think that went into my decision making was, yes, this trailer is really cool, but I also want to see this movie really bad.
Yeah, I agree, and unsurprisingly, I've got a lot to say about your choices, but we'll come to those. I think I've had the easiest task, obviously, because I get to sit back and look at all of your choices and just go, oh yeah, no, that's great, and that's great, and that's great, and that's great, and I don't have to narrow it down to two. I could have taken as many as I want, so I've got 16. So we're going to get to all of mine later.
Nice.
But I think if we're going to do this, let's I want to look at like Yuhei's first one, and I just want to say to the audience, we've kept all of these choices secret, so no one knows what the other people have picked. So the reactions that we're going to be giving, or the reactions that all our guests are going to be giving, are going to be fresh reactions. So that's exciting for me to see as well. So Brian, in Mission Control, do you have the first trailer queued up?
Yeah, I am ready whenever you are, Ben.
Excellent. So Yuhei, if you couldn't just introduce this a little bit, don't say what the title is, but just if you can just give us two things that we should be on the lookout for as we're watching this, that would be very helpful.
So both of the trailers that I picked was from a streamer content, but just like just the content itself, the trailer and the marketing material for these things are becoming just more and more, I don't know, creative, edgy, really kind of pushing the limits. And this first one we're gonna play, that conceptually it's something you definitely have seen before, but it's just the way it was executed. It's kind of hard to talk about it without really seeing it and then kind of breaking it down, because there's so many small details. It's really short, but every single choice that's been made, it's been, in my mind, likable. So I would love to just dive deep.
Let's do it. Let's look for the details. Look for the details. Yeah. All right, let's check out the first trailer in the bunch. Take it away.
Human beings make decisions, they commit acts. That makes things happen. Creates a snowball effect. Causes other people to make decisions. Cycle continues. Snowball keeps rolling. You know, sometimes people make decisions. And you gotta act accordingly. Or you can fall in a hole to die.
For Ozark season 4. All right, so tell me a little bit about what drew you to this then originally.
So just full transparency, I actually never seen the show ever. And you know, the funny thing is, maybe a couple of months prior to this trailer releasing, we were actually working on a launch promo for another show, and we were talking about doing something like this, you know. So again, conceptually, it's not something just groundbreaking or brand new. Everybody has thought about doing something like this, depending on the message that you try to convey or the storyline of the upcoming season or whatever. But it's just the way this particular piece executed it. It almost felt like every single shot were, you know, shot specifically for this concept and promo. You know, just coming down from the very first shot that you see the smoke, but then the shot is on just long enough to realize that there's something awkward going on. It's like seeing that Tenet movie, you know, the smoke is going backwards, getting sucked into the van, and the shot is on there just long enough to you really feel that kind of weirdness in the motion. And then
Brian, can you cue that first shot up for us, please? Just play it without sound.
Yeah. And then moving forward to the monologue, Jason Bateman's monologue that they picked out, talking about the snowball effect of one thing causes another thing, leading to different consequences. You know, that, I mean, honestly, I don't know which came first, you know, whether the concept or the speech they picked out and the scene that they picked out. I don't know. It just, you already had this really solid framework to begin with. And then they kind of, you know, all these intercutting of different scenes, iconic scenes, I presume, because I've never seen the show, that led to that moment. But you're playing it backwards. So, you know, when we were working on our own concept, what we found out as more difficult than we planned or expected was that when you reverse things, unless this is really like a really big movement, like explosions or whatever, it's really kind of hard to tell, especially in the quick cuts, that it's going backwards. So you really have to be deliberate about your, shot choices. And oh man, I can go on and on about it. But so, you know, every single little scene that they picked out in between as an intercut of this car crash happening backwards, and it's perfectly timed with, you know, segmenting Jason Bateman's monologue that talks about the snowball effect. And, you know, obviously lining up the worst snowball with the tumbling of the van. But then, you know, when the van comes up and start driving backwards on the road, it doesn't stop there. It just keeps on going. And, you know, even just down to the way they put the text up, the messages up. I don't know, like the first time I didn't realize it. I don't know how many people actually did, but those words are going on backwards too. And small things like the way they decided to use a shot of the dashboard as a backplate first to like put the first card on, and then kind of, you know, going backwards with the putting of the words, displaying of the words. And then, I mean, and just ends with that quiet, just like really peacefully driving the car backwards, and then end with that, watch all the previous seasons kind of messaging.
If memory serves, that last shot of the trailer was the last shot of the first episode, if I remember it correctly. Maybe Christian, you can jump in here. Have you seen Ozarks at all?
Oh yeah, I'm a huge fan. It's one of my favorite series I think that Netflix has right now. It's just such a cool look at such a weird family. I mean, it's Breaking Bad, and it's Arrested Development. It's got kind of really interesting vibes. And I think it's because it's Jason Bateman, but this last season was so intense, and I think that's what they capitalize off of in this piece. And if I'm speaking incorrectly, then I apologize, but I do think that this cut was based solely off of the footage that they had of that van rolling. I mean, if I had to guess, I'm sure it's like, an early episode in, it could have had a bunch of dailies that they had available of this car crash. And I think that's what sort of set off, if I can get into the editor's mind, of what would have triggered this sort of revisiting moments past. So you kind of have this idea of like, in an instant, your life flashes before your eyes, like right before you die, or if you're in an intense accident, like things like this happen. So using that sort of as the catalyst, this accident of like what you might be seeing, you're chronicling simultaneously not only the lives of these characters, but we're getting to see glimpses of things that had happened in previous seasons. Like all of these big moments from seasons 1, I think, through 3 that they're up to now, we're seeing present in this teaser. The use of reversing footage is something that I'm very familiar with. I did it with a Doctor Strange TV spot, which was really befitting to the movie. And Yuhei's right. It's a difficult tool to use, but when you use it well, it really, really works. And he's totally right. Like there are only certain shots. Like if something's happening in the rain is a way that you could tell that a shot is being reversed. Obviously, motion and movement, when it's reversed, looks very strange. Blinking looks really weird when it's reversed. So this was a really cool and really effective teaser. I actually had a lot of my friends reach out to me and ask if I'm the one who cut it because of my previous reverse stuff. But no, it's such a well executed, very simple, very clever design to sort of express like, hey, go and rewatch the previous seasons before you watch this next series because it's coming. And I thought it was really well done. Good pick, Yuhei.
Great pick. Jesse, just over to you. Apart from the sort of picture side of things, to me, one of the things that sort of stood out was the audio as well. Can you talk a little bit about like the role of audio, not just in this trailer, but also in this trailer, but in a sort of bigger picture of trailer design?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's interesting. Like even during right now, we're kind of watching it back without sound, and it's still you understand kind of what's going on because you have that van kind of thread throughout the whole piece. But when you do have the added monologue, which is always a big kind of trailer trope that we as editors are always constantly looking for, because if you have like a solid piece of writing that kind of encapsulates the story, but also just the feeling and the emotion of what this show brings, that it's actually something after another viewing just now that I didn't even pay attention to it the first time I watched it with the whole snowball effect thing and what he's actually talking about. If you just take a minute to really listen in, and it just complements the visuals added with this reverse concept so well. And the one thing too that stands out right away is like kind of those reverse sound effects. And I'm actually curious to see like what they did, if they had specific designed sound effect, reverse sound effects that they added in, or did they have things that already existed and just reversed it? Something I'm curious to see what maybe the editor did there. Was he working with the mixer? Was he working with the music team to kind of find like reverse sound effects that already existed, or was it something they did on their own? it's one of these pieces where I think there was heavy concepts from the start. I think they took elements that existed and they wanted to do something that just grabbed people's attention. And I think beyond any other medium, when it comes to editing, like trailers are the combination of that sound and strong visuals, you know. And again, I think great trailers can exist without sound, but that's when you have rich sound design, when you have the right kind of music, when you have the right kind of dialogue and story, it just takes it it takes it to the next level. And you experience it. Most trailers, you know, they're not longer than 3 minutes, 2.5. This one seemed pretty short. So it exists in this little time frame. So you only have a finite time to really experience it, and you really have to pull people in. And sound and audio is a huge way to do that. And us editors, I think all three of us especially, that's something we all pay attention to. And it's not just what we're picking, but it's how you're using it. And the rhythm and the flow of it, you know. Trailers in a lot of ways are like composing beats. That's kind of how I look at trailer editing. It's like you're composing music, but you're adding visuals, storytelling, and you're trying to sell something. So there's a lot of factors that you have to play in a part, but I think the foundation is like a solid audio bed.
Yeah, I think.
I'm sorry.
I think
I'm just looking at Christian's face, and I can see the proud older brother smile on his face.
You totally got it, dude. It's such a trip. I love that my brother and I can share in this like creative, you know, pursuit, and hearing him talk about it. I mean, we do this all the time. You know, we produce each other's work. You know, we're on the phone, FaceTiming like all the time, talking about trailers that we might have seen or trailers that we're currently working on. And yeah, proud brother moment. Way to go, Jeff.
Yeah, I mean,
I wasn't just saying because like
we were all
getting a chance to
working
work
at
with
Trailer Park
Yuhei
together.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember, you know, like when we pass each other by at the hallway or whatever, like, hey, dude, like, did you watch that trailer? Or like, if not, then we'll do like a group text and like, dude, you got to watch this. And we just had a really great time. We were just like being such trailer nerds, and we continue to be. And it's just great to see, like, you know, we each kind of went separate ways in terms of like, you know, working for different agencies or whatever, but we continue to be that at the core, just a bunch of trailer nerds.
Yeah, I think us three specifically react to trailers in a very similar way because we all have, our ears are paying attention to a lot of things. Our eyes are obviously pulling in too, but we're all very, I think, audio-centric editors. If you look at our body of work, all three of us, I think you would see that. So I think that pick was solid, and really, like, it made me look at the trailer in a different way too. Thank you for bringing that up, Yuhei, because that one kind of flew under the radar for me a little bit, because I remember seeing it and I was like, oh, that's cool, but now I had a minute to like really think of it. That's the beauty of us coming together. There you go.
That's it.
Exactly.
That's it. I think there's a lot of meat still to sort of get off of this bone, but
for sure,
I want to come back and revisit some of these themes a little bit later, because I think that some of your other choices actually also help to support a lot of the things we're talking about right now. But what I want to do now is actually come to Yuhei's second choice quickly, which is it's something a little bit different. And I think with this one, maybe we can watch it first, and then Yuhei, you can tell us a little bit about why you chose it.
I've been wanting to get this story out for all these years.
And another streaming trailer. So I mean, tell us a little bit about this and why this was your second pick.
Well, where should I start? So, when this is just a great example of like an antithesis of, majority of the trailers that are out there. Most of the time, it's pretty heavy-handed in terms of like the visuals and the the narrative and the story, like the plot points, characters, the stars, but so in that sense, this was a complete opposite, and in that way, first of all, intrigued me. It's really short, obviously. I don't know, like 20 seconds, not even 30 seconds, I bet. But you get it, what this documentary is about, and it intrigued me. But then I actually had a chance to talk to the guy who made this. He's a guy who works for Netflix in-house. His name's JD Funari. But when he told me about the kind of the backstory of how this came to be, I actually got kind of obsessed about it, because I just kind of launched into it. But like, by the time they came up with this concept, JD actually has been cutting the actual trailer for several weeks, and he actually, the footage and the sound bites from the actual documentary, and cutting like the full-length trailer, 2.5 minutes, 2 minutes. But there was always this possibility coming from the filmmakers that, certain things may not be legally shareable and not be able to be included in the trailer. Lo and behold, after working on it for, several weeks, going through multiple revisions of show trailer, they were told that they can't show any of it. And so, I mean, wow. What do you do as a trailer editor? What do you do when you say, we're going to promote this thing, but we can't show anything? And so they quickly pivoted. They came up with a couple of different ideas. I actually haven't had a chance to ask what the other ideas were. I'm really curious to know. But this was one of the ideas that the client went with. They just put it together. But, even without that story, I thought it was really clever execution. Just really simple. Bob Ross, like everybody knows him, heard of him, loves him, but this kind of like dark undertone behind, what the documentary is about and what actually went down behind the scene kind of thing. So I thought it was really clever. But to do that as like a complete 180 from what they were actually working on, I mean, that's what I love about the actual like creativity that goes into these work, is that it's not always just about this flashy visuals with cool sounding sound bites and explosions and sound effects, and it's not always about that. That's not where all the creativity goes. And like these kind of moments is really when you need to like squeeze like every last drop of your creativity to tell a compelling story without even showing anything, So I was absolutely upset, and it just kind of left a huge impression on me. So I mean, I give huge kudos to JD and the Netflix internal team for just banging this thing out. I definitely watched the document. I was hooked.
I mean, I think there's a tradition of like the anti-trailer almost. So it's kind of instead of showing you why you should see something, it's broken everything down, and it kind of just turns that whole question around to just kind of take it down to its kind of core, which is why, what's going on here. I've got something else I want to say, but I think I'm gonna throw it over to Jesse right now to begin with, and get some initial response from you and what you have to say about it.
Yeah, I mean, I was laughing right when you were saying he was cutting a trailer, and then the filmmakers were like, I don't think we can use any of this, because I've been through that. I mean, I've cut on a good amount of documentaries, And that is the biggest hurdle working on document. And I love working on documentaries because you get to work on them and like you really want other people to see it, but especially when they're like informative or they're important, like it feels like it's like what we're doing is even more special, especially when because it's a real story, even though it's, you know, they jazz it up a little bit, but that's the whole deal is like, yeah, we can't legally have any of this cleared. And you have to do like last minute pivots, and the problem is you get so attached to the material, you get attached to a shot combination or a line of dialogue or anything, or something beyond that where it's like a line of dialogue that you need, like a line of exposition or something that's like crucial to like a full-length trailer, and then all of a sudden they're like, nah, you can't use it. But the cool thing about that, and like how I kind of approach that, and something like I try to tell myself is like, do more with less. And this trailer is like a perfect example of that. Like it literally had probably like that first shot, it's like a stock shot that they made black and white, and they even like blurred out his painting, because I'm sure there was some legal thing with that too, right? Look, like I'm sure that's a legal note right there. It's like we can't show the painting.
Oh yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah.
Like weird things like that. But this trailer specifically is a great example of like, yes, doing more with less, but a great example of just like overall design and approach. Like this font choice, like under black, the Bob Ross font that they use up top with that kind of like classic look. So this piece, just from like a pure design standpoint, is really cool too. So, and again, you get everything that you need to get out of this. It's like a darker tale. Just the fact that it's in black and white. There's no color in this at all. Like and Bob Ross is known for bright, luscious, vibrant colors. So immediately, but like you're getting an emotional reaction out of that. You're like, okay, there's a dark story here, and yeah, another cool piece that I remembered watching, and kind of, you know, I think the shorter pieces for whatever reason kind of fall by the wayside sometimes, but yeah, it's a really cool piece of marketing for sure.
Christian, there's a lot of heavy work being done by one line of dialogue as well. There's that single line of dialogue in the trailer. I mean, when you're cutting stuff, how important have you ever tried to cut stuff where you've got one line of dialogue that has to encapsulate the entire mood and of an entire film or show, and how do you handle that sort of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it starts in your typical breakdown, right? So when you're breaking down a film, what I mean by that is editors, when we get a full feature film or we're working through dailies, we sort of single out individual lines of dialogue or pods of dialogue to create grids. And what I mean by that is we take, let's say if we had a speech, like Jason Bateman's speech in the Ozark piece that we just watched, that was a perfect grid. And I would argue that was either written for the purposes of the teaser to help strengthen the teaser as a whole, or it was something from the show that they then adopted to the entirety of the piece, or like sort of centered the entire teaser around. This is a case where the copy is a huge contributor to the vibe of the piece, right? Like, so that's the written text. Like, we want to show you the trailer, but we can't. Like, that's a really powerful message. It seems like it's coming directly from Netflix to the viewer. It's like, hey, we want to show you this trailer, but guess what? Oops. And I think there was a purpose behind what Jesse called out, which was the blurring of that image. I think that was intentional, maybe also too because of legal reasons. But that single line, and if you could just play it back one more time, like even where it's positioned in the cut is perfectly placed. And and if I could just hear the audio just to be reminded of what it is. Yeah, this is all great.
I've been wanting to get this story out for all these years.
Yeah, I mean, what a perfect little cherry on top of a teaser line to throw in there. I've been wanting to get this story out for years, is like even more enticing. It has even more of that draw. So like you're being told that you can't watch something, even though you clicked on it to watch it, which I think is inherently really cool, is subverting the expectation of what you would expect to see for a documentary trailer. And then that one line just fits kind of so perfectly into, oh wow, someone has been holding on to information about Bob Ross, everyone's favorite painter, Bob Ross, and I can't know what it is. And so it's building that anticipation. It's suspenseful. And the way that the text culminates to find out why, it makes you a part of this investigation, right? So I think it's bringing the viewers in. It's letting you know, okay, wait, there might be some like criminal activity surrounding this story of Bob Ross. So it's like even more exciting and enticing. Yeah, so I would say, like, in doing our dialogue breakdowns for films or shows or whatever it might be, documentaries, we look for those singular lines that could capture and motivate the attention of the viewer to stick around and to go, oh man. I mean, if you look at the structure at any general trailer, we'll have the 3-act structure of the trailer. The montage will drop down into silence, and then we'll hit you with one final line that's super intriguing or super interesting, and then boom, title. We'll tell you what the name of the show or the movie is, and then tell you when it's on and where you could see it. So it's a technique that's used all the time. And I mean, I try to get away with using little to no dialogue wherever possible. I mean, today's audience needs to be told what the story is and what to expect. But, for the purposes of something like this, which sounds like and looks like a 30-second tease, which could be used for a TV spot, you really need to hone in and look for those singular lines that can capture the entire essence of what it is that you're showing or what it is that you want people to watch.
Yeah, I think that's sort of fascinating about the structure as well, is that, I'm gonna hold us there actually, because we're going to take a break now and we're going to come back. We want to talk about structure a little bit more, but hold on to that thought, because we've got to go back live and give away some stuff. So thank you, Yuhei, Christian, and Jesse. We will be back in a very, very short amount of time. Let's just go over and ask future Ben if he has any questions, and let's give away some stuff. All right, see you in just a minute. And we're back. We're live as that beautiful transition did. Brian, for the next transition back, can we try something a little bit more wavy? Be nice. Anyway, I hope you're having fun talking trailers with Yuhei, Christian, and Jesse. I'm finding this fascinating, and I lived through it the first time as well. If you are enjoying this, then please hit that little thumbs up button if you're on YouTube. If you're not on YouTube, then there's no reason why you can't just hop over to YouTube, hit the little thumbs up button, and then hop back to Boris Effects Live. But why would you be on Boris Effects Live? Well, the reason is we have stuff to give away. We have competition going on at the moment where we are giving away swag. We are giving away a Wacom Intuos Pro tablet today as well, and a copy of the Boris Effects suite. And I think we actually have our first winner today. So if we can bring up our first winner, you have won some Boris Effects swag. Congratulations, Robert Hansen. Robert Hansen, you have got a choice of anything from our YouTube store. Oh, there's the applause. If you're in the chat, Robert, wave your hand, and congratulations on winning swag. If we can have a little look at some of the things you could possibly win or possibly choose, we've got t-shirts, we've got bum bags or fanny packs, we've got hoodies, we've got, I'm not sure if we've still got the mugs. We do have the mugs still, so we've got a ton of great stuff. If you aren't Robert and you didn't win, you can actually go and buy stuff from our Boris Effects site. Again, just take a little look at our merch store. You asked for it. We delivered. Whether we can deliver before Christmas, we don't know. But that's it. There's still time to enter the competition. Heading over to boriseffectslive.com, scroll down to the bottom of the page and type in your details there. We are still giving away a Wacom Intuos Pro, courtesy of our friends at Wacom. And we are also giving away a copy of the Boris Effects Suite, an annual subscription to that, to one lucky winner. That is everything that we make, which is Continuum, Sapphire, Moga Pro, Silhouette, and Optics. So there is still time to win. Full terms and conditions can be found on boriseffectslive.com. So enough of me talking away here. I think we need to get to our next load of trailers. So let's head back over to our interview with Ben in the red t-shirt rather than Ben in the slightly maroon t-shirt. All right, take it away, Ben in red. And we are back with our guests, Yuhei, Christian, and Jesse. And we're going to roll straight on through to the next round of trailer picks. And these are going to be Christian's. So, Christian, your first pick is a little bit different than the couple of the other ones we've seen. Is there anything you want to say about this? Anything we should be looking out for first, or should we just run it?
You know what? Just run it. Why not?
Okay.
Oh, I know this one.
For as long as I can remember, I have looked for an equal. One who could push me. One who could surprise me. One who could even beat me. Yet all I found is disappointment. Will one of you finally give me what I desire? Yes, we will.
So this we've had a couple of streaming service trailers so far, and the first one you've served up is a game trailer. Okay, so tell us a little bit more about it.
Yeah, I remember this popping up. I think it was at the PlayStation something or other. I forget what they actually call it, but their version of like an internal E3, where it's just like, hey, we're going to show off all the games and stuff coming to PlayStation in the coming years. And this was one that popped up, and I was like, ooh. I'm a super huge fan of the game studio Insomniac. They did Ratchet and Clank, which are super fun, very really kid-centric games. And then they released a Spider-Man game 3 years ago, and holy moly. I mean, like, what a cool team to take on such an iconic character. I think one of my favorite Marvel characters for sure is Spider-Man. Growing up in Brooklyn and like getting to, take the train into the city and just envisioning what it's like to actually be Spider-Man is like a kid's dream, So getting to play a game when you're just like, kind of swinging behind this really cool animated character, not to mention like the fighting mechanics and all these cool visuals that they brought to the Spider-Man sort of like gaming universe, made for such an exciting game. And I played it through, I think, twice in full. And then they came out with the sequel, the pseudo sequel, which was the Miles Morales story, which was teased in the first game. And I thought, man, it can't get better than this. And then they dropped this trailer. And I was like, holy you know what? This is going to be just too much fun. My brother and I used to watch cartoons a bunch as kids, which I think, you know, just going back to what we were saying about sound design, I think that's kind of why we're so sound design centric. I've said this before in other podcasts. I think a lot of the sound design I've used for campaigns for Baby Driver or any other sort of like fun action materials, I tend to lean into like cartoonish kind of sound design, but also hyper realistic sound design. And this is an example of using like sort of hyper real sound effects. You feel the energy of that electricity power kind of surging through the Miles character. You feel it in that first shot of like the quiet wind noise that's taking us into that empty street, and it's so beautifully lit. And then the first bit of VO hits from one of Spider-Man's greatest villains, Kraven, which is also a great tease. And then boom, this electrified body hits the pole and dents it, and it takes us right out of it. So it's such a great opening shot tease. And from what I understand about this teaser, this was all captured, and I think it says it on the bottom too, on a PlayStation 5. So whatever the PlayStation 5, the Unreal Engine, or whatever they're running is giving us this imagery. They probably doctored it a little bit in post as they were working on this thing, but it still looks like unreal. But what I love about the teaser is its simplicity. I mean, like, it's such a simple structure, leading us into this like beautiful, you know, dark, very, you know, almost Gotham-esque looking city street, and yet it's Spider-Man. And the lead up and ending that drops us into one of the most iconic villains of the Spider-Man, you know, what would we call him? The Rogues Gallery is Venom. And there had been games prior to this one that used Venom that were super fun. But I feel like this company, Insomniac, is going to sort of like nail the experience of what it's like to play as Venom, not to mention when the symbiote that is Venom applies itself to Spider-Man, there's a whole host of new possibilities there. So I think it's just, and I get this feeling while watching it, like, oh, this is like the old school cartoon, you know, like it's got all these parts to it that feel like, oh, I remember this as a kid. So it's hitting that nostalgia button really, really great. But beyond that, it is such a perfectly executed teaser. The teasery sort of camera moves that move across each Spider-Man's costumes as they're being talked about by a villain is really great. And the sound design is just incredible. I mean, when Spider-Man's arms are deployed, it's got that metallic kind of Transformer-esque kind of sounds to it. All of Miles's Venom punches, or whatever you want to call them, his like electricity powers, feel realized. You can hear the panning if you're on headphones or you're listening through speakers, kind of go left to right. And then there's that great sort of drum rise that picks up and drops us right into that final line. And lo and behold, we have this great reveal of Venom in the alleyway. Both of our heroes are looking at him. And right before Venom's reveal, there's this like liquid sound that sort of teases him before we actually see him or hear his voice. And I thought that was such a nice touch. And it's one of those things that solidified the trailer for me as being like a standout for 2021.
Yeah, you can actually hear the liquid just rolling through your ears, and it's particularly disgusting, and it's fantastic.
Yeah. It's so good.
And that I mean, that's seriously, that was one of the my favorite things about this was the audio again, and also how it was very different to regular like game trailers, or what your expectations of a game trailer is, because you know a lot of that, if you were just coming to that fresh, there's maybe one or two moments that would give it away as a game trailer, but I think, you know, the PlayStation logo is probably the biggest one It looks gorgeous. Now, I actually want to, Yuhei, if you can pick up on that a little bit and just talk about the kind of structure that we're seeing here. I don't know how much experience you've got with game trailers, but but just talk a little bit about the structure of this.
Yeah, I'm actually really glad
of a movie
you
trailer.
threw me that way, because otherwise I don't think I have a lot of interesting things to say about this trailer. Besides the fact that I agree. Game trailers have come a long way. I've always thought that with the advancement in the technology and the way the motion captures are done, the textures, the lighting, atmospheric particle technology that they incorporate into these things, it's just becoming more and more photorealistic. And I mean, this thing, it's really no difference from like a live action Marvel trailer, really, in terms of like action and the tension. One thing I do say about this particular trailer is that for years I always thought that game trailers had its own kind of a sensibility in terms of approaches. And there were times that say one example, there was a time I worked on the Tomb Raider trailer, and before I started cutting it, I will watch the game trailer for Tomb Raider, and then I would just think, if I try to do this in live action, like, it'll never get approved. There's really no way. It's just there's certain kind of sensibility to it. It really kind of drop the viewer into this world, like, really, and give like no roadmap to it, and you just kind of experience the action, experience like the I guess like gameplay experience, but also the gorgeous visuals. So I always thought that there's this kind of disconnect in a positive way between the game trailer and the actual feature film trailer or streamer trailer. But this one in particular, I thought that it took a lot of cues from the theatrical trailer in terms of sound design, like Christian mentioned, the pacing, just the fact that it starts with this traffic light and just stay on it, just gradually push in on it until you see the guy get thrown against the pole and then cut to black, kind of thing. Those things, I see a lot of cues taken from the traditional live action trailers. So yeah, that was something I never actually seen this trailer before today, and that's one thing I noticed. Another thing it really kind of stuck with me was right before the Venom reveal, you just get pushed into this dark alley and just keeps on going, almost to a point. It's almost like too long, but like the longer it stays in the dark, I just felt myself like getting drawn in more and more. And again, that is very kind of things that we typically do with live action trailers. So that really stuck out for me.
Excellent. I think for the sake of time, Christian, if we can have your trailer number 2 now. This is going to be slightly different, I'm assuming. Is there anything that we should be on the lookout on this one, or should we just come in with just completely fresh eyes?
I think that this trailer, very different compared to what we just watched. This is a super nuanced and beautifully cut trailer. This came out, I think, at the top of 2021, and it withstood the test of time, because as I was going through my list of favorites for this year, this one just stuck out every time. And what I love about this trailer is it was cut by this great editor who started as a YouTube fan editor. So he would put together compilations, and most notably, he did this fantastic compilation of the Star Wars universe. It was like 40 years of Star Wars celebration that he cut. And he also did, he's done a whole series of like director's sort of, a reflection sort of video montage of different directors, one notably for Spike Jonze, who I really love. And it's just done so well. And I think from going from an amateur to finishing a really, really, really great trailer like this one, it says a lot about the person behind it, and then also the creatives on the marketing side of things, the studio that released this, to take a swing and to let this trailer out into the world. I think it's undeniable that it holds up, and I think everyone can enjoy it.
Okay, let's take a look.
I'm 23 years old, and sometimes I wonder if life was wasted on me. I take all the beautiful things to heart till I about die from it. If I could save time in a bottle, the first thing. Hey, I'm really happy you're here.
Why is that?
Because I like you. But there never seems to be enough time to do. You're it for me.
I feel the same way.
I joined the army.
Why would you do that?
Sometimes I feel like I've already seen everything that's gonna happen. And it's a nightmare. My one true accomplishment was not dying. I have this noise in my head.
It'll stop. One day it'll go quiet.
I don't imagine that anyone goes in for a robbery if they're not in some kind of desperation. I've been at this a while now, and it's no secret what my face looks like. Get on the ground! The one thing about robbing banks is you're mostly robbing women, so the last thing you want to be is rude. Ma'am, it's nothing personal.
You're gonna make it through this. I love you.
Can you look back to when you met the one you loved the most? And remember exactly how it was? What you saw in her that made you say, yes, this is what I came here for. Sometimes I feel like I've already seen everything that's gonna happen. And it's a nightmare.
There you go. And I'm just going to say it now. We've seen 4 trailers and 3 of them have been streaming. I think we should just acknowledge that for a second. Maybe talk about it a little bit later, but I think there's a lot of exciting stuff coming out in the streaming world now. Why that is, we can maybe discuss a little bit more later on. But before we do that, Christian, what a trailer! I mean, what a pick! That was okay. Give me your thoughts, and then we'll go around the horn and talk a bit more about it.
Yeah, I mean, I just noticed too that there's a theme to my 2 trailer picks, that I'm just like all about Spider-Man because Tom Holland is in this movie. It didn't even occur to me until like as soon as we started playing this trailer. But yeah, no, I love this trailer. From the opening shot, it's such an arresting opening moment. You have this sort of like busy noise of, the phones, like this very busy office, even though it is a bank, and you're getting to know what this movie is like in the first 3 seconds, which is like super, super powerful. Again, another great use of VO, and not to mention you have a character who's kind of breaking the fourth wall throughout the trailer too, which is super helpful to sort of keep the story flowing. Sound design is all over this trailer, and it's used in like great proficiency. Right there was a moment where he's sort of like rubbing his fingers through the sort of twiny rope that's holding the string that she's sitting on, and you could hear this sort of like tense rope or like leather kind of sound, which I thought was like such a great little addition, much like the sort of gargly Venom voice in the previous trailer. But beyond that, this editor is playing with the viewer in such a great way. I think he's doing an excellent job at subverting the expectations of, starting a certain song in a certain way and then just immediately dropping out of it to have these, moments of high tension, moments of, intrigue built around sound design and these building, rising moments. And he does it a few times in this trailer, but it never bumps. Like it never feels like a rough, whoa, like weird stop, where are we now kind of a thing. It just flows. And it's something that's really hard and really tricky to sort of do. And you have it being executed in such a powerful way. I will just want to talk briefly about the editor who did this. His name is Miguel Branco. He works at a shop called Rogue Planet. And Rogue is known for doing really great work and really great cuts. But Miguel's background, he actually spoke about this on a podcast, is just cutting fan trailers. And like I said, he's got a few fan trailers that I've watched that I've been really impressed by. And it just goes to show if you have sort of like a natural talent or natural propensity. Am I saying that right? A knack. Yeah, that's the one, right? If you have a knack or an interest in wanting to be an editor and you just continuously sharpen those skills and hone those skills, and then sit that young person or not to be ageist, but you sit a young person in a room long enough surrounded by the right people, you can extract so much creative and so much talent from that person. And Miguel being sort of new to the game and coming in, and he's finished trailers for like 6 Underground and then this one. And I think under the right supervision and being guided and sort of molded in a way by his team at Rogue Planet, he was able to accomplish this cut. I think also very important to this trailer would not be possible unless you had this beautiful marriage of great creatives on the marketing and agency side, but equally creative and awesome clients on the client side. So actually a friend of mine, Chanel Van, is the creative director for this project. So she, had the foresight enough to know that this trailer elicits a full range of emotions. And it's pretty spectacular. Like this being the end product and seeing how clean of a trailer this is. I mean, like from top to bottom, it is just like a clean cut. It ebbs and flows so perfectly. I love all the music stops, all the way that the music kicks back in the back end. And I think what's equally refreshing about this trailer is, there was a time where rock music was popular. And we saw it in trailers all the time, and we haven't since. I feel like rap and pop and hip hop have sort of taken over as current cultural media, and you hear it all the time in trailers. Yuhei and I and my brother can attest to this. Like, we're being asked to put it in trailers all the time, and sometimes it works great. I mean, Yuhei's Falcon Winter Soldier trailer is amazing with Migos in it, right? But this was an opportunity to use angsty teenage, like hard rocking music from an artist called Youngblood. And I listened to the track just on its own. I was like, there were such great parts in this that they, Miguel honed in on, and whoever composed the sort of back end of that trailer, because there are some little trailerization hits in there, really did a fantastic job. So, I mean, that's my spiel about this trailer. I really love it. I would love to hear everybody else's opinions on it too, because I know that this one definitely stood out to me.
Yeah, no, I love this one too. This was like, I hadn't seen this trailer until it showed up on the list, and like you're right, from the very first shot, we know a lot about the character. We know a lot about maybe a lot about what type of film we're going to be seeing, but it's such a powerful opening to this shot, to this whole trailer, that like right from the very start we knew what world we were going to be in. So I mean, my question to you, Jesse, how difficult is it? I mean, it's a very loaded question, obviously, but how difficult is it to sort of front load a trailer with the amount of information that you need without it feeling heavy?
Great question. Oh man, I'm trying to figure out how to answer that. Well, again, I mean, I think what this trailer, like, the material that's in the trailer, the way it was shot, the kind of breaking the fourth wall, talking to the camera, it feels like there was a lot in this film to work with. And I think he took that and he was able to really hone in on what this movie offered, and not so much even the story, which I thought he did a great job on. Like the whole first setup of like him with the girl is like a great way to kind of lean you in and get more of the emotion. And then everything else is going to pay off because of that. Like it's going to make more of an impact. There's going to be more of a swelling at the end because he pretty early on established this relationship with him and the female character. So when like the action gets crazy, like instead of starting it right off the top with like, he's kind of troubled, you're really building into it. And the way he builds it, I mean, like this is a great piece. I mean, like I watched this piece and I'm just like, trailers like this are just a home run. Like in all the sense, I know my brother was talking about like the kind of client being on the right side, like everybody just kind of coalescing and working together to put out a great piece. But it's still coming really, from the mind of the editor sitting down. Like there's so many little nuanced things going on in this. Like the reveal of even like the director card, like with the clicking, like there's a lot of subversion. There's a lot of stuff like that going on where this trailer is like one of these things where it's like, like somebody's playing one tune, everybody else is playing one tune, he's playing jazz. Do you know what I mean? Where it's like there's this kind of rhythm that I think all editors are paying attention to. And I, like, even in my picks later on, where when I'm finding myself trying to just come up with the overall piece and structure it musically, or just like, again, we're talking about like the rhythm of it, how can we subvert, people's expectations and anticipation? And this trailer does it. Like there's so many moments, like the freeze frame stuff. And again, I don't know and I would love to know more if that was his decision or if it exists. I haven't seen the movie, so I'm not sure. And I'm sure maybe there's moments in the movie where they have like the freeze frame, but that was the first thing that like really stuck out to me, because it's one of these things where it's like, was that his decision or was it something that existed in the movie? But regardless of whether it was, like, it's a stylistic choice, but it also stops down for an important line of dialogue. So like it's achieving both these things where it's like you're selling what this movie is and who this character is. And this is a character-driven movie, probably more so than anything, based off of like Tom Holland's performance. So you're marrying this like telling of the story, but also with your own stylistic approach. And that is the cool thing of what we get to do. Like as trailer editors, like we have freedom, especially on the first version or whatever. Obviously there's a brief and there's an overview of what they want, and we try to achieve that, but there's always going to be some slice of like who we are and what we do and what we're about in a piece. And in some trailers, this is something I've learned, is like your sensibility, your style might not lend itself to every single project. And then ever so often you get one that comes around and it just like everything just clicks. And I feel like with this piece, like that's everything clicked for him. and for the entire kind of team putting it together. I think I think a lot went into it, but at the same time, it felt like effortless. So I think Yuhei kind of mentioned that before. It's funny how we're a lot of those similar themes come up, but it's true. It's true. You make things look effortless, and yeah, that's a great piece. That makes me question my own ability. I'm like, ugh, I can't. Like I see that, and I'm like, I can't do that. Are you kidding me? I'm like, I'm incapable of doing anything like that. But then again, maybe I'll have the one that it fits for what I do. It's all subjective kind of stuff, but yeah, it's a great spot.
I mean, it's a hugely stylish edit. I mean, there is amazing use of montage, which actually that I want to talk to Yuhei a little bit about this, but broadening it out a little bit. In terms of structuring trailers, what kind of different things are you looking for when you're structuring a trailer around a more character-driven film as opposed to a narrative-driven film? I mean, are there things that you would look for differently in the overall structure, or is everything a little bit more sort of unique?
I think I'm gonna try to answer that question by kind of playing off of what we just saw with the Cherry trailer. You really, right out of the gate, want to make an impression to the viewers through what the character is going through. I think this particular trailer, what do I look for? I mean, whether it's narrative driven trailer or a character driven trailer, I always think about how I start and how I end is top two most important things for me. And just starting this particular trailer, starting off with the money with the handwritten note, really kind of leaves an impression on you. But like, it's just small things like his little hand movement, just shuffling the money around, and all that kind of. It says a lot about his personality. I don't know. I think overall, the other thing I would kind of focus on would be, you really want to make sure that viewers want to root for this character, and want to find out more about him or her. And that's kind of it's almost more important than understanding what is happening or what is about to happen to this character. You just want to be on this ride with the character that you're trying to introduce. So yeah, I think that will be my approach. I don't know if that answers your question.
I think it does. I mean, but moving on then, if we just carry on watching where we are here, there's a moment in just a second where I think there's another montage that sort of pops up, just very, very short sort of flash cuts coming through, going back between the different I'm assuming the different acts of the film. When you're cutting stuff, I mean, this is the shot that I was actually thinking of here, between the salad bar and the army training. I mean, when you find those moments, when you're looking through the rushes, what sort of goes through your head at that point? Is it a sort of I'd love to sort of put this in, we need to find a place to be able to cut this in, or is it you're just kind of looking through as the edit develops, that you sort of find these small nuggets?
Is that a question for me too, or?
I think so. Yeah, I think we'll.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this particular trailer again is, the previous question that you asked, I think Jesse, was like, what would be the biggest challenge? And I'm just looking at this thing and like, what is not a challenge in this thing, trying to achieve something like this? Because as you can see, throughout the trailer, you see some like a 4x3 stuff too. And I wonder, I haven't seen the movie. I don't know if it's like supposed to be a flashback or something, that comes up, but like just throwing in something like that in the montage, it tends to really throw people off. But again, editor Miguel just braved all these kind of, I don't know, I guess rules, conventional rules of the trailer, and really challenged it and pushed it. And going back to Jesse's comment about the freeze frame too, I really hope that wasn't like just pre-existing in the movie, and it was an actual conscious choice by the editor, because we can't really do that with a lot of the material that we work with. So just the fact that he really took a risk and pushed it in terms of like using the freeze frame. There's a freeze frame montage. The whole entire montage is like freeze frame in one of the sections, and that kind of almost like positively abrasive behavior, I think I would like to see more in other trailers.
Mm. And going over to you, Christian. I mean, do you have any sort of strategies, I think, for kind of picking up those little moments when you find them to maybe use them later?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just going back to what I was saying earlier about part of the breakdown is, you're not just breaking down a film for dialogue, you're breaking down a film for interesting sound design. Like there might be pre-existing sound design in a moment in a film, or like a sequence that you might want to use later. Same could be said with visuals. So when I'm breaking down a film in Premiere, I usually am watching the reels with like a color-coded sort of like key of my breakdown of that film. So in each reel, I'll have like a color code for, a big scope shot, which is like your big, coming out of the Apple logo at the top of this trailer, you have that great sort of like canted camera moving helicopter shot. Like that would be a yellow flag for me, right? And, it's sort of subsequent shots, interesting shots that I know for sure I'm going to use in the trailer, or moments I usually flag with like a red marker or something like that. So this way I could jump into a reel when it's time for me to do my visuals and go, oh yeah, I'll grab this shot, I'll grab this shot. So rather than making like a selects sequence, which I know a lot of editors do, I could sort of refresh my brain and go back and look at certain things. Like you had called out, Ben, there was that great shot of their fingers sort of like walking across the salad bar, mixed with the shot of the soldiers, like sort of doing that crouching kind of like weird, what would you call it? Jess, my brother was a wrestler, so I'm sure it's a crab walk?
Some sort of like duck walk kind of thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
It looks silly, but it's also the way it's composed and the way it's shot. And it's like exactly. Everything in this trailer, there's so much like surrealism. It's hyper realized kind of reality, and again, like, I'm just kind of piggybacking off of what my brother's saying about like selecting shots. I feel like there was a lot to work with in this movie, regardless of how you feel about the movie, whether you thought it was a good movie or not, critically, whatever. I'm sure that when he broke this down, it's like, to me, it almost seems like there was too much. We were kind of talking about before, like being limited with certain documentaries, how you have like, there's little to work with and you have to make do with it. This feels like there was a lot of stuff. Like there's so many good trailer shots, trailer moments, and all that kind of stuff kind of existed. Sometimes it could be overwhelming when you're cutting, but you would rather have that than, I think, be limited, because when a client comes back and they're saying, hey, we want another shot here, we want something else, you're like, well, I have A, B, and C already picked. Like I already have a lot to work with. Kind of, I think of what the movie, I'm thinking what might have been available, because visually this movie is pretty impressive. There's a lot to work with.
Yeah, I would say I would agree with my brother there, and with Yuhei, is like looking at the materials used for this trailer. This had a budget, This was not a cheap movie. I mean, it was a very intimate story, but which is the sort of soul of this movie and the soul of this trailer, right? Which is like this idea of young love and disparate love, and a kid who's obviously struggling with his choices. and PTSD and drug abuse and like, you know, robbing banks. But at the core of it, it's a love story between two, you know, 20 somethings, right? But the trailer, you get enveloped in this background of this main character going off to war, seeing these great, big, massive, you know, helicopter shots, like on the helicopter, in the helicopter, explosions, tanks. Like, you know, the Russo brothers work with huge budgets. And I'm not saying that this was like an Avengers level budget for them, but this editor and Jesse, I think, nailed it. I think had a ton to work with. So you see elements of those flash cut sort of montages because he probably had so many shots flagged that he was just like, oh, I could do this with this, right? Like, I really want to get this shot in. I don't have a place for it, but maybe I'll come up with a device that allows me to do that. So I think, Ben, you were also talking about that choice to tint those final like shot flourishes before the title, which I think ties perfectly to his end line, which was nightmare, right? So he delivers this, you know, my life is a nightmare line, and then we get a series of, so we go from the red handkerchief to the nightmare line to this flurry of his whole life flashing before his eyes, and it's a nightmare. Drop then back into this beautiful piano ending where we linger on this title for a really long time, but it sticks with you. It's really, really clever. And like, again, there's so much to applaud in the execution and the design of this trailer, which I think is what makes it stand out. One point, if I could make quickly, I think is, you know, and speaking to Miguel and speaking to some of these other editors around town and who are in all these nestled into these great shops that are really fostering their creativity, YouTube fan editors are becoming trailer editors like that. We see it all the time. And like Jesse works with a few of them. I'm sure Yuhei knows a few of them. And I've reached out to a bunch of these quote unquote kids who are, you know, being plucked from YouTube and coming over to the trailer side and cutting amazing pieces. There's an editor at Jesse's company who's known for doing these like year-end videos of like mashups, like huge trailer mashups, like a year in review kind of stuff.
Shout out Sleepy Skunk. I'll shout him out.
Sleepy Skunk.
That's his moniker.
It's Luis? Is it Louis? That's
Louis.
His name?
Louis. I don't want to unless you wanted to say it, you know, whatever. Yeah, it's Louis. Yeah, I wanted to keep it a secret and just kind of keep his moniker. But yeah, it's Sleepy Skunk, aka Louis.
Yeah, so Sleepy Skunk, aka Louis, is this another, like Miguel, like he was doing fan edits, found himself in a position to like contact or get contacted by these trailer shops, comes in and then cuts these amazing pieces. Louis, I believe, cut the teaser for a movie called Possessor, which is a David Cronenberg's son's trailer, and it's a love letter to trailers past, but it feels so fresh and it feels so nuanced. And again, it's another one of these examples of like this perfect storm. Like you had the perfect editor on the perfect style of movie, and then marrying all these things together. There's a special sauce that kind of starts to percolate as they're cutting, and you get these really standout pieces. But on top of that, I think, you know, I've learned over the last 10 years, you know, the structure of every genre of trailer imaginable, right? And I've learned from really amazingly talented people and continue to learn. But I'm looking to the young people coming in. I'm looking to these young bucks coming from YouTube or the next batch from like TikTok or wherever, who are coming in and breaking convention, because that's something I like to do all the time. My brother's talking about subversion and subverting the expectation. Like that's something that I'm super conscious of as I'm cutting. And I feel like these other editors are as well. And they're bringing that sort of freshness and that limitless potential and changing the game. So the rest of us kind of need to pay attention and start stepping up and doing the same thing just to keep up. So it's really cool to see.
Can I just say one thing, just piggybacking off of that, is I have had an opportunity to work with like some of these editors who've had backgrounds, like pretty big, like YouTube followings, whether they're doing their own fan trailers or mashups. And the biggest theme amongst them, just talking with them, is they're all just huge fans of film, and they love the craft of like editing. Like they really like think about the technique of editing, and every time I talk with them, it's like it's you know, they're like, Louis' film encyclopedia is insane. Like he knows every movie, every director. Like it's crazy because he just really appreciates films. So I think, you know, when you're applying that to like a professional, you know, your job, your career, it makes a huge difference because it's like they have that passion. And I'm not saying that editors who start in the field without any sort of background don't have that passion, because we all kind of like, that's the one thing amongst trailer editors specifically, is a lot of people have different backgrounds. But now I would say it's trailers are more part of popular culture. So I think more people coming up, younger kids throughout college, even in high school, are aware that trailer editing is a career. So they can actively like, you know, make decisions in their life, whether it's professionally, school-wise, or even just on their own through hobbies, to kind of get to that point. So yeah, I don't think we haven't seen anything yet. Like I think there's going to be even a bigger crop of people who are just starting now, or like in the next few years. It's going to be insane, and you got to learn from those people. They'll learn from people who've been doing it, but it goes both ways. And it's just like that is the cool nature of what we're doing, is just people who have that passion for editing and just making things. Like that's what keeps us all kind of together.
Excellent. Well, we're going to leave it there for a second. We're going to take another break and go back and give away some more stuff. But when we come back again from our break, we're going to finish up with Jesse's choices for his favorite trailers of 2021. But for now, let's head back live to Live Ben giving away live prizes in a live fishing pond. All right. See you, Ben. Hopefully you're at the location now. No, I'm not at a fishing pond. I'm back in the set. We are live though, and you are watching Boris Effects Live. I hope you're enjoying this this chat about trailers, where we're taking a sort of very deep dive into looking at some of the best trailers of 2021. And if you are enjoying it, then be sure to hit the big thumbs up button. And if you are watching on Boris Effects Live, then, you know, head on over to YouTube, maybe just give us that little thumbs up. So I say it all the time, but it costs you nothing, but it does actually help us out quite a lot. We're going to do like just a little quick break now, because, you know, this is quite a long stream. If you've missed anything up till now, or you want to be able to watch this later, we will be showing this on our live stream replays on the Boris Effects website and also on our YouTube channel as well. So be sure to subscribe to get all the little updates there as well. Okay, but we've got some more stuff to give away. So we're going to be giving away a Wacom Intuos Pro, courtesy of Wacom themselves, our friends at Wacom, and we're going to be giving it away to a lucky winner right now, and that lucky winner is, drum roll please, Misty Moss. Congratulations, Misty, you have won the Wacom Intuos Pro medium tablet. It is a tablet that I use myself. You're not getting my tablet, you're getting a brand new one. So Misty, if you're in the chat, congratulations, wave your hands around and we'll all applaud you. We still have time. We're still giving away more stuff. So there's still time to enter our competition. Coming in after the end of the next section, we're going to be giving away the Boris Effects Suite, an annual subscription to our Boris Effects Suite, which is everything that we make, including Sapphire, Continuum, Mocha Pro, Silhouette, and Optics. So that's everything. One lucky winner. Go to Boris Effects Live, scroll down to the bottom of the screen and enter in your details there. Full terms and conditions can be found on the website. All right. Well, that's enough from me for now. Let's head back to the trailer conversation with Yuhei, Christian, and Jesse. Okay, and welcome back to our chat with the trailer editors, Yuhei, Christian, and Jesse. And we are looking, obviously, at the best of 2021. So let's round up our final part of this by chatting with Jesse and what your two favorites of 2021 were. These are quite different trailers again. And not only are they different to each other, they're different to ones that we've seen already in this stream. So is there anything you want to say about the first one we're going to look at, or should we just jump right into it with both feet?
Yeah, I think I kind of was talking about in the beginning. I think the two trailers that I picked, I think were both really well crafted, really well edited pieces, and I think if they existed on their own, they're great. But I think more than anything, they just got me excited to go see the movie for different reasons. But I think that is kind of the overall goal of what we should be focusing on. And I think both of these trailers, again, both really well made from a very little nuanced perspective. But yeah, just made me want to go see them. So that's why I picked them.
Yeah, let's do it.
This is where it all began. The story of Candyman. Local character, he walk around handing out candy to the neighborhood kids. One day, a couple of kids get razor blades in their candy. Police come around. That's when I saw the true face of fear.
Get on your knees. Hands, hands, hands.
They beat him, tortured him, killed him, right there on the spot. A couple weeks later, more razor blades and more candy. He been innocent.
So he's real?
Candyman ain't a he. Candyman's the whole damn hive. If you're out here looking for Candyman, you ask me, stay away.
I feel really connected to this story.
Go on.
Right here, in this neighborhood, the legend started.
Uh-huh.
And the legend is, if we say his name 5 times while looking in the mirror, we could summon him.
Summon the Candyman. Hell no.
Candyman.
Anthony, no.
Candyman.
Stop.
I don't want to get creeped out in my new apartment before bed.
Candy.
Black people don't need to be summoning.
I dare you.
Don't say that.
Say his name.
Candyman.
You better not do that last one.
Candyman. You want to be a part of the story, right?
No.
Say his name. Candyman.
Anthony? Anthony. Are you okay? What the hell is going on? Anthony!
This neighborhood is haunted.
I think I made a mistake. I brought him back.
Candyman isn't real.
He chose you. He has purpose for you.
Tell everyone. New to the neighborhood.
You should say it.
Candyman.
Say his name.
Candyman!
Love it. All right. Okay. Before I get to my questions, Jesse, talk to me a little bit about why you chose this trailer.
So this was the second trailer. I think even like a teaser had come out. I'm not sure how many spots had come out before this one, but the thing that really stands out is just like that the sound bed of this trailer I think is insane. Like similar to that Ozark one where there was that monologue, they had a sound element based off of saying the name Candyman. And you say it 5 times and you summon him. And I wrote kind of in my notes, I was like, the trailer almost feels like you're summoning Candyman himself, like, because it just it's anxiety inducing. There's not a lot of like real big jump scare moments. Like the trailer moves, like it really has like kind of a high end pace, but it's kind of all consuming. And I love like the little bits of humor in it where they're just like this town is haunted, and like, or the just like there's this kind of like offbeat rhythm to it that I love. And that's what we were talking about before of like I am constantly searching for ways to kind of like break expectations of what is expected of us and expected of myself, even because we kind of can fall into a rhythm musically, rhythmically, with the music that we're giving, and even from a sound design standpoint. So again, this piece kind of like dips and falls, and then it kind of everything kind of coalesces into one thing. So when you just watch it overall, the biggest thing that I think it does is it creates that anxiety. And again, because you have the material to work with, paired with the sound bed, it really kind of comes together. And on top of the sound bed and the audio, the visuals, I think the movie is made to look almost like an art house film. It has like this kind of elevated horror feel. I think, you see this kind of in movies like Hereditary, a lot of those A24 neon projects where it's like not these huge, big studio films. They're kind of these smaller budget indie films that have some pretty big followings. And I felt like this big studio, Universal, this movie probably had a good amount of budget, but I think they had that kind of elevated horror feel. So like it has this very cinematic feel to it. And I've actually, and this kind of goes to my bigger thing of like, this made me want to go see that movie because of that reason. I feel like cheap. It didn't feel like it felt like there was more to this movie than just a horror movie. Like there's obviously there's more of a messaging behind it. There's more to it than just the surface level stuff. And but beyond that, it's just kind of fun. I don't know. Like I just love those little bits of humor. I love when you can combine horror with like dark humor and dark comedy. That's like my favorite kind of stuff. Because again, I love subverting people, and I love subverting people's attention and subverting like what they're expecting. So yeah, it's just a fun piece, and it left a big impression on me when it came out. I don't know. Yeah, again, like some of these trailers kind of fall by the wayside, but it was cool to like revisit this one because I remember really kind of feeling connected to this one when it came out.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, this is an amazingly tight trailer. Like just in the prep for this, I thought that I would try to kind of just get like 1 minute cut downs just in case we had to use those for the stream. I really like, this was the first one that I tried it on, and it's absolutely impossible to cut anything out of this and not just really damage the flow. This is such a tightly done trailer that I want to get other people's opinions on that in a second, but I just want to, before we get onto that, like Jesse, you were talking about the sound, and I visualized the sound. So if we can go just to a full screen of me for a second, please, Brian, because I've got this here, which is running the sound through a spectrogram, and this is the start. So we've got all the lovely little bass notes coming at the bass frequencies right at the top, because it had to be a bit backwards. But like, this has got the classic kind of big, you got your big hits coming through, followed by your nice sort of calmer moments working their way through. So you've got the power of the hit. Then in the midpoints here, you've got your you can just see how 3D that sound design was, of just the elements, not just traveling, around the space, but also traveling around the frequencies. You've got all of these little areas that are just, coming in and just making this complete 3D soundscape, and then all building to like just this wall of sound. So you've got, you're coming in with the dips and peaks and troughs, but then towards the end, you've just got this wall just hitting you with everything that it possibly can get, and then it just sort of trails off right at the very end, of course, just to bring you up to say, yep, this is when it's here. You better be watching this film. I think this little visualization, because I think the sound design in this was absolutely amazing. But just seeing it visualized like that made a big impression on me, as well as being, as well as hearing it. And I just like to sort of throw that over to Yuhei, and sort of hear what what you thought about that.
First of all, I just want to point out that I've never. Is that something you do regularly, like dissecting trailers or TV spots in terms of like a 3D soundscape? I've never seen anything like that. It was really intriguing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I do. I'm obsessed with that sort of stuff, and just seeing how how the different elements are working together.
I mean, I've seen obviously being editors, like we look at the sound waves all the time, but like we never really seen like a 3D soundscape like that. So I don't know, in a way it gives you like a newfound appreciation towards like sound design and all the thoughts that go into creating the the sound to make impression upon the viewers. In terms of answering your question, I think I'm probably just going to be echoing most of what Jesse said, but I think the theme is really all about subverting expectations, and I think it makes sense. Just Jordan Peele being the executive producer of the film, nothing that comes out of his mind can't be expected, or something that you can kind of see in other film, or what say you. What Jesse talked about, like just throwing in that like kind of offbeat humor into it, just gives that like slight different flavor, and it's not just kind of straight shot horror film. But even just like throwing the studio logos like backwards, and just going like really quick by, that like already made an impression upon me. I don't know. Typically, like. I'm not really drawn to a lot of trailers that it's really kind of heavy-handed in terms of like storytelling, but this one really kind of kept me on the edge. And going back to what Jesse was talking about, just building that anxiety, they were really effective. And obviously using the, saying Candyman 5 times kind of thing, it was almost kind of like doing a countdown towards this explosion of just things happening. So it was really effective, I think.
Christian, the narrative on this is pretty straight. I mean, the structure, I should say, is pretty straight, because it's very much a narrative driven trailer, with a sort of rather kind of traditional 3-act structure. Can you talk a little bit more about structure in sort of, I mean, in trailers in general, but in horror, or maybe just using this as an example, just specifically about what the difference is between the structure of a story, of a film story, versus the structure of a trailer story.
Yeah, I mean, I think both trailers and films sort of share a similar pattern. You could point to and very clearly see the 3-act story structure, beginning, middle, and end, in most trailers that you see. An inciting incident at the top of most trailers like sets us off to who and what and why, if they're successful. And then the middle is sort of an area where you could, raise the stakes and tell a little bit more story. And the finale being this like culmination of all things, and where you really get to, bring the tension and attention to your viewers. This storytelling device that's throughout the film and that we've seen in other marketing materials for this film, which is this beautiful like paper cut animation, is helping us understand the story of Candyman. And this is a remake, but it's also kind of a retelling of the Candyman story and the legacy. I remember the Candyman movies from the past, so I actually didn't get around to seeing this one, but I was super intrigued by the marketing campaign for this. Really, just this trailer is jam-packed. I mean, the one moment of rest that you have in this entire trailer was done, I think, with a purpose, which is coming up, which is when the woman basically stops him and shushes him, which is every other shot, as we're seeing now in Quiet, is happening at rapid speed, and you could kind of blink and miss it. But then we stop for this one little moment, which is so effective. And I think it feels a lot like the same feeling that my brother had in his experience watching this, which is these little brief moments of comedy also unsettle you, right? So it's part of again, I think the word of the day is subversion, but it is subverting your expectation. You're thinking you're going to watch a soul horror movie. But what we've come to realize about the brand of Jordan Peele and the people that he brings on, like Nia DaCosta, the woman who directed this film, is like you could still have fun. Like, this is a movie that, yes, it's full of horrifying themes, questioning the psychology of our main character, right? Is the Candyman real? Is it paranormal? What is it? And at the same time have these little blips and moments of joy